the link to my computer and then open it on my computer. So for whatever reason, it just didn't want to open the link that you sent on the phone.
That's weird. All right, let's see if it'll go. There we go. Oh, no. Don't do it. There we go. So now we're going live on. So there's like a small lag between Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
I can see the Instagram comments. I have it set up that way, and I can see the YouTube comments. So we just have it all set up that way. Oh, goodness gracious. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the sort of lateness again. My buddy here had problems logging in. Of course, it's always this stuff. What's up, Guy? How are you? All these great.
I was having problems. You were having problems. I
don't know what you're talking about. So we got a whole bunch of people, and people over on Instagram are saying hi. And then if you guys want to come and say hi on YouTube, if you're on there, he can actually see it there. Dan says hi. Ryan says hi. All sorts of great people. Okay. And I'm saying hi. Are there pickles in the meal, Morgan? Why? Do you like pickles a lot?
I love pickles.
Dude, we went to Costco yesterday, and I'm going through. I always, when we walk through there, I always look at stuff, and I say to my wife, I'm like, "Do you need this? Do you need this?" No, and she doesn't. Like there was a $75 thing of ginger, right? But I saw this huge thing of pickles, and I'm like, "You guys, you should get this big thing of pickles, literally this big." I was like, because if you eat 2 of them, it pays for it.
Right. I mean, yeah, pickles are cheap. The whole pickle thing is just it's so silly and so dumb. I found a shirt for $5 when I was just out at the store with my wife and my daughter, and I bought it, and I just thought it was so funny. Just a shirt with pickles on it. And then, like, people, I just posted stories because, I don't know, pickles. And then people just liked it. So
that's like my son's favorite thing to call. When he was a kid, he had a stuffed animal, called it Mr. Pickles. Those are his favorite stuff, yeah. All right, so a lot of people here know you. I know you a little bit. As I talked about before, for those of you coming in, I have decided, I've looked at what I've talked to people about over the last 6 months, and really what's important to me is always finding out where they started, because I feel like that gives us a really good place to go and build conversations and talk about where they are now and how they got to there and just lessons along the way. So, being the superhero fan that I am, I want to ask you, hey, Pat, that's not what I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you, hey, Pat. We're not going to ask Dan or Morgan about AWFS yet. We got to start at the beginning. The beginning. What's your origin story?
We'll get there, but yes. Anyway, so my origin story, it's kind of weird. So I kind of got into woodworking by accident. I was playing in a band, and we had a weekly house gig where we would play 80s covers every night or every Sunday night. We did that for a couple of years, but this is the only band the only venue in Orlando that was underground. So there was like this narrow staircase that you had to walk down, and just loading and unloading every Sunday night. Yeah. It was just nightmarish. And I had this gigantic 412 cabinet. It was like 100 pounds, and it was just nightmarish to have to carry it up and down those stairs. So I thought I need a smaller guitar cabinet, for my amp. And I didn't like anything that I saw to buy, so I was like, I think I'm just gonna try to build one. Having no woodworking experience at all, or any experience in building speakers, but I gave it a shot. And with like limited, literally all I had was just like a compound miter saw. I did it with that. And I got like a couple band like ratchet clamps.
Yeah.
And the first one came out terrible. But I learned a lot from that first one. So I made another one, and it was just slightly less terrible. And by like the fourth or fifth try, I was actually, pretty happy with it. I installed speakers. It sounded good. And so like throughout that process, I was like posting pictures on the internet saying like, hey, I'm, trying a new thing. I'm building a speaker cabinet for my guitar. And then people just started messaging me and asking if they could buy one. It was like, I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm ready to start, trying to sell these things. But no, like people, well, I did them kind of differently. So I was doing them out of like, solid hardwoods and trying to make them look more like furniture pieces, like things that you would just have out in your house that, just look like furniture and not like, you got used equipment just sitting around. So people started messaging me and asking if they could buy those. And then that's just kind of what kind of ushered me into woodworking was people wanting to buy my speaker cabinets.
Okay.
And then that's a pretty small niche, market. So it's not a ton of people that want like, hard bespoke speaker cabinets for the guitars. And so I started getting messages from people asking if I could build like a furniture piece. And they had like a sketch, and of course the answer is always yes. I'll figure it out.
I can try.
Yeah, the answer is always yes. I'll figure it out. And so it just kind of transitioned into building furniture, much larger, much larger market for that. And yeah, so I had a custom furniture business for 7 years.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was fun. It was all, do like batches of things. Like every single thing that I did was custom to order, and it was cool. But I would have like, 1 month was like amazing, and then the next month would be like, eh. My wife and I were wanting to start a family, and that inconsistency was not conducive to family starting.
Right.
So, so I decided like I was going to get, like a real job, and I started working for MicroJig. So I saw a job posting. And I figured it was just like a local rep or something like that. Because I already had MicroJig products, but no, I did research and I found out like they're just actually based here where I live.
Okay.
So I applied for a job, but it was for some like operations executive something or other, and we agreed at the time that I was not the right person for that position, and I totally agreed with that. But they said like we'll keep your resume on file, and we'll call you if anything comes up, which usually in the job hunting
right
kind of routine means see you never.
Right.
But it was like probably like a year and a half or so later that they called me back up, and they said like, hey, we've got something for you. And
and you didn't have a job. Wait, you still didn't have a job a year and a half later?
No. I was working at I wasn't unemployed for a year and a half. No, so I was working at a cabinet shop.
Okay.
That was, I mean, it was an interesting job. But yeah, I was working at a cabinet and millwork shop. So I did some. They kind of assigned me the more interesting type of stuff, that they contracted. But yeah, it still wasn't, all that.
Well, wait, were you building full sets of cabinets or doing parts of them?
Yeah. So so there was like this particular cabinet shop, there was like tiers of
Right.
positions. You know, you had like your lead builders, and then you had like your just like assistants or whatever.
Yeah. The
And,
people just cut the boards.
Exactly. So I went in. Jeez. Excuse me. So I went in there as a just like an apprentice assistant kind of guy, and
Okay.
and then within 6 months they gave me my own bench, and made me a lead builder, and then put me in charge of a quarter of the shop.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
They hated me. They hated me so much. Because like a lot of them have been there for like over 10 years.
Okay.
I just come in and then
Yeah.
you know, like they did not appreciate that.
Well, but you'd been doing your own stuff, so you had experience over those guys who had only been working there.
Yeah, but you know, they didn't care. It was
Yeah.
that it said I hadn't been there for very long, so
Right.
they were
I get it.
come off. But you know, it is what it is. They asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said yes, and yeah, so I did that for a year and a half, and then I on my way home I got the call from MicroJig, and they said, "Hey, we've got this thing for you," and so I went in and I interviewed for that, and it was kind of a multi-tiered interview process where they wanted like some sample work, and
Okay.
the job involved creating content creation around woodworking using their products. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I already had a few of their products, and so they gave me a new product that had not yet been released, and they gave me a quick rundown. They said, "Hey, here's this product. Here's how it works. Make like a 2-minute marketing video. You know what you would make to market this video or market this product." So they're okay. So at the time, I didn't have a shop, so I went and shot this at my friend's shop, and I didn't like. I'm just one dude, so it's not like I have a crew or a cast or anything. So I did the on camera work and the behind camera work.
Yeah.
So I turned it in, and they were like, "That's great, love it, you're hired." I said, "Cool." So like, who's the guy? Like, who am I gonna be working with? And they're like, "What? It's you. Like, you're gonna be you're the guy." So I wasn't accustomed to being on camera. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm still not accustomed to being on camera. But yeah.
Had you done any content creation, like just Instagram and nothing before that?
Nothing. No. So like I had my furniture business, and I had like a Instagram where I posted my when I was working on stuff. But I wasn't like I was very rarely on camera. I would kind of like take video for like what I was actually doing, not me.
Right.
But to be like a marketing kind of like personality, you got to be in front of the camera. So I was like, okay, all right. So I guess
this is me now. This is me. This is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's my life now. And so I worked there for 5 years, and there were 5 fantastic years. I very, very much value the time that I spent at MicroJig. I got to a point where it just wasn't the right fit anymore, and we left. We parted ways amicably, and I wanted to go and do other things. And so, but like I still have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
I still work with them. Like they just sent me some stuff a couple weeks ago to try out, and I still send them business with my with my CNC files that
Right.
use their product. So no, it was amicable, but it just had run its course, and I very much value the time that I spent there.
Well, it's interesting because that's when you and I first met. We started talking on TikTok, and that you were working with MicroJig, and I think it was because I liked, I kept using all the products, and you and I just started talking, and that's how we became friends, best friends. I like to say we're best friends, Stone.
Yeah.
Stone jealous out there. No.
I haven't even looked at the comments. Jeez. Oh, there's tons of stuff.
Well, there's just people joining. I didn't see anything else. I mean, unless I'm missing something else there, but well, okay. So that's really interesting. So now you go from there. You get a lot. When did your shop get set up? When did you start your own shop here?
So it was right around the end of my time at MicroJig that I had kind of started feeling like I kind of had like one foot out the door and the other on a banana peel, and yeah, right. And so I started shopping around for a shop because when I started working for MicroJig, I didn't have a shop. When I started my furniture business, I was in a house that had a 2-car garage, and my setup was in there. But then I was at we sold that house, and then I was at MicroJig, and that was kind of like my shop. So I didn't need a shop at home. No big deal. But then when I was kind of like thinking about leaving, it was like, well, I can't not have a shop. So I started working on getting something set up before then. So I left MicroJig a little bit earlier than I had planned to. I just not to get too deep into it, but I had planned to stay a little bit longer, and then I had a meeting that I just left. But I had already ordered this. It's basically just a prefabricated building, just like a shed. Open stud walls. Completely open, nothing in it. And that was already underway, and I planned to get it all built out and set up before leaving. But I ended up leaving a little bit earlier, and then I think it was 4 days after I left that my shop actually arrived. It was delivered, fully assembled. But assembled meaning like just like a it was.
What's the what's the length and width of it?
So it.
Because I mean that's the big thing. Like we talk about this stuff.
Yeah, so it was advertised as 12 by 32.
Okay.
And shoot, what is it? So the 32 feet actually I should have read the fine print. Actually includes the porch space, which is which is not really usable space.
Right.
And so that takes another 4 feet, and then I needed a place to like have a door that I can close, put my computer in to keep dust off of it and isolate noise for whatever's going on in there, and just have like a small office space, which is what you're seeing me in right now. So it actually ended up being 11. The actual shop space ended up being 11 by 22. So it's 284 square feet, which is about the size, about the same as like a single car garage.
I think. Yeah. No, you're right. I was doing my math wrong. No, that's. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but that's about right. So, but you fit a lot in there. First, I do want to point out, Vanessa said hi. Joe is here, so we can actually start the interview and everything now. Joe JLN Vinovations. He wasn't here before, so we have to start over again because he just got here. So no.
Okay.
Well,
Welcome,
but, I mean,
welcome to the live with Logan and Morgan.
Yeah, the name's already perfect there. It's Lorgan. We're just going to call it Lorgan from now on. So I mean, okay. I think let's move into this next part before we start talking about your space management, because I think that's really cool the way you've done this. So you got your shop, you're starting to get it set up. Where does Onefinity come in?
So I actually I met somebody who was working closely with Onefinity when they were kind of getting set up before they had actually launched their machines and actually opened up the doors for business. I met somebody who was working closely with Onefinity at WorkbenchCon.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, I had no idea. I didn't even know that Onefinity was a thing. Never heard of it, and had no idea of their involvement. But we met and just kind of continued talking and became pretty good friends. And it was when I started kind of leaning toward wanting to leave my my position at MicroJig. I was talking with him and just saying, just kind of, just spilling my guts, and still having no idea that he had anything to do with MicroJig, or with Onefinity. But he said, well, there's this new thing that's coming up, CNC company, and would you be interested in working for that? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So he hooked me up with the people who were running the thing, and had the decision making ability to be able to hire somebody. And I told them what I do at MicroJig, and that I'm that my time there is I think is waning. And they said, yeah, you can come and make videos for us.
It's nice too, because those videos are sort of they're almost a resume. Hey, you want to see my work, you can go see this stuff, and they can just go peruse your previous work and sort of come up with an idea of whether or not that it would be a right fit. So that makes it easy.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's to be honest, like that, like the YouTube, referring somebody to a YouTube channel that's like not even my own, or even if it was my own, as like a resume, is cringy, because like I look at the earlier stuff that I did, like the stuff that I did really early on, I'm like, ugh. It's terrible. But it's I guess it shows improvement over time.
Well, but I mean, the newer stuff would show more. I mean, Instagram, everything else shows your focus and how you bring about the qualities of the tool and what you can talk about, and your sense of humor, which we all know is as tall as you are. So, right. So I think that adds a lot to it. All right. So now you start working at. Now, did you meet Stone at this point? Was Stone, had you guys already met? Only, no, and this is nothing to do with anything else. It's just curiosity here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, so I had not, I hadn't met Stone because Stone wasn't, Stone for pretty much most of his life was like making things and fixing things and stuff, but he wasn't kind of like me when I had my furniture business. It didn't occur to me to put myself out there and kind of involve myself in the maker community. So similar to Stone, he did all this stuff, but hadn't really made himself available, or made himself included himself in the maker community. So it wasn't until after I had started working for Onefinity that I met Stone, and I was told, like, hey, Stone is, he was like the first employee
Yeah.
and doing all the like the very first instructional videos, like how to put a machine together, how to do this and that, like all the nuts and bolts stuff. He was doing all of those videos, and so they were like, "Hey, you're like someone's going to kind of focus on the technical stuff, still. You're like kind of one of the we don't really know what you are, but like more of a like a marketing type personality.
Yeah.
So they're like, you're just gonna like share,
But you guys work well together, bouncing off of each other like that. I think that's it's a cool dynamic for the two of you to sort of have each other to go back on. So, and
I
yeah.
freaking love them so much.
Well, you guys are like twins. We all, someone came on and said, you look weird without your mustache. I would call it the stone stash.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So just to address that elephant in the room,
I'm used to you. I knew you before the mustache, and
That's
I
right.
like it better than the mustache. No mustache.
Yeah, yeah. Logan knew me like when me and Logan met and started talking. I had no mustache. It wasn't until years down the road that I even could grow facial hair. But I had a cold.
I think your wife should just stop you from growing it. Just say no. She's allowed to say no.
Yeah. So I had a cold, and sneezing and blowing your nose with a mustache is a horrible experience. I don't know if anybody that has facial hair has ever experienced that. It's terrible. So when I get a cold, it's gone. It's got to go. And then my wife expressed that she really misses me without a mustache. And so I'm going no mustache for a while. We'll see.
Yeah, that's me in the beard. I grow a beard for half a year, couple of months. All right, so let's talk now about your shop. So I know that you have, what do you have, 3 CNCs in there now?
Yes. 3 CNCs and a couple more in boxes.
That's crazy.
3 fully set up CNCs at the moment. Yeah.
I don't know how. So hold on, we do have a couple comments. Shaved so many times after a cold, and Type A Furniture wants to know if he'll be able to grow a mustache too. Probably not.
Alex, you'll get there one day, man. You'll get there.
Brian says, who doesn't love the little bit of tissue stuck in the stash? I don't. Kevin is Clearcraft. He'll message me and he'll just Logan and exclamation point. That's how he says hi. So I just say, Kevin, back at it. So come back to this now. How has let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, how has your oh my God, the word just went out of my head. How has your how you look at creating content? How has it changed over time, right? How have you, as your I don't know the word I'm thinking about. It literally went out of my mind, but you know what I'm talking about. How has your direct change? How has that worked over time?
So I mean, I started woodworking, using traditional means. I mean, like the first couple things that I made, like I said, were literally the only tool I had was a compound miter saw and some like ratchet clamps. And I was able to do, what I wanted to do with that. And, obviously I kind of built up my tool repertoire over time. It sounded so stupid saying that, repertoire.
I don't think so. I think it makes perfect sense here. And maybe, Joe, that might be the word. Go.
But anyway, so I mean, I started with a kind of a traditional woodworking background, and moving into CNC it's completely different. There's a lot of traditional woodworking that comes before and after you machine something, but that whole middle space where you're using the computer a lot and then you're using this machine that's computerized is completely different. So learning to instruct on that has been challenging because like I'm not great at computers,
Right.
or design, and so having to be able to communicate all of that without much of a like I wouldn't say I have any level of expertise in it, but I somehow cobble my way through it and I come up with stuff and I say, all right, here's what I did. I designed it this way. I toolpathed it this way. Here's how you do it on the computer. Um, it's just a different. It's a different, completely different style of instruction.
So I got to pause.
But I do.
I got to say hi to my daughter. She's on here. Adelaide, I love you. Hi, sweetie. And then,
Hey, Emily.
yeah, my daughter comes on and says hi, and it's always sweet. But so I see what you're saying in terms of computer issues and everything, but you've definitely improved a lot, right? And you're selling files that you make, and you cut out a guitar. Didn't you do a guitar the other day? What was it that I saw you did the other day?
Yeah, I did a guitar. It's right here.
Love you too, sweetie. Have a good night. Not you, Morgan. Her. Yeah, Kevin. The software is hard. I'm wearing my Maker's Gonna Make shirt for Carve Co. Okay. So
this is my guitar that I designed.
So you put that on the CNC, right?
Yeah. Not the neck. I bought the
neck.
Okay. I'm nowhere near like it's. I don't think it's beyond my capability to be able to make a neck. I just don't care to do it. It's like you can just buy a neck. Yeah. Like it's the like necks are pretty much all for the most part the same size and shape. That's not the thing. I what I wanted was my own
shape. Well, bring it up.
Configuration.
Bring it up. Show it up again. Because I want to. So, all right.
I gotta make some knobs. Okay. So I gotta make some knobs. I saved some material from the that I cut out of the body to make knobs out of. It's 2 humbuckers, tone, volume, switch, 3-way switch, and it's. I like the shape, and this is like. It's in. I'm amazed that it actually came out as well as it did because most everything that I do, I have to do at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times, to get it to where I am happy with it.
But I mean, and DIY woodworking Dan here, his comment was the Oreo cookie box was awesome. I've seen a whole bunch of people make those now, right? So I.
Oh, are people making them? I haven't even seen anybody make them.
I saw at least one other one. I definitely.
That's fun. That's fun.
But again, this is modeled after Morgan's. He did this. I want to do it, and they did like 1 or 2 things different. This is what I did differently, and so I mean the thing is coming back to this idea of you saying I'm not very good at computers. You're definitely better than a lot of other people, and part of that is the fact that you're using this all the time. You're instructing on it, so you've gotten a lot better. Right, so your skills have improved.
I think that the like when I started with Onefinity, it was it was with the understanding that like I'm not I'm not like crazy good. Like I would say I could count on one hand how many projects I had actually done on a CNC before I started working in Onefinity. Yeah. I think I'd done maybe 4 or 5 projects on a CNC. So I'd used one, but I was nowhere near proficient at it. But the way that we were going to position it was that like, hey, like the CNC can be intimidating, and people who are kind of on the fence and not sure if they want to take that leap, I'm there to kind of guide them and say like, hey, I'm just starting out too. Like I'm just learning too. So I'm starting right where you are, and we're gonna learn and we're gonna get better together.
So the Onefinity model of if Morgan can use it, then so can you. Is that where the?
I mean, yeah, that was kind of by design, like, because like we don't want people to be afraid to take that leap and get into using the CNC. We want we want to make it approachable, because when you really sit down and look at it, it is very approachable. But you need somebody that, because a lot of the CNC content that's out there is so high level, and it's amazing what some of these people can do. I mean, like, mad respect for these guys that can do all this amazing stuff, but it's not as approachable. Like, somebody that is looking at getting into this and they're not really sure. They look at something super high level and they're like, too much. That's way too much.
And, okay, so a couple of things. DIY Dan said, you have me wanting one. And I mean, that's part of it too, is that there are, again, there are so many amazing things that you can see out there that you're like, I want to try that. For me, one of those things I really desperately wanted to try was that snake, the snake tambour door, which I've talked about before. And I was like, I really want to do that. And you can't do it really well without a CNC. Yes, Joe said that should be.
You basically just can't do it without a CNC. It's just.
Joe said,
bonkers.
If Morgan can use,
unless you're amazingly skilled with a Dremel, you need a CNC for that.
All right. So Brian from Boney Board Woodshop said, is there any tool that you still want to add to your shop? And my question on top of that is, where the hell would you put it?
So one tool that I would really, really love to have is a drum sander. I would love to have a drum sander. I have a planer, and that's great. You can do side grain, edge grain. You can't do end grain, and you definitely should not do end grain on a just a standard planer. So drum sander would be the one. That's really the only tool that I think. You know what? I would love a domino too. I don't have a domino. I actually don't own a single Festool tool.
But the domino,
not a single.
I will go. I got my domino in like 2017. I saved up for 6 months for it. I needed it for something. I thought this was going to be the only way to do it, the easiest way, and I have never looked back. I highly recommend getting that. So in your
I've used the domino. We had one at the MicroJig shop, and I used it when I worked there, and I loved it. But when I didn't have one personally, and I have not yet been able to justify the cost.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's something, if you're going to use it, it makes sense. You don't necessarily need it. So let's talk about this now. You have in your shop, you've got 3 CNCs. I got to find out where my hand is, right? Table saw?
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to I can
if you want.
I can actually I spent all day like tidying up. So if I can switch over to like my phone, I can kind of go in there.
You can. Oh, is it a desktop or a laptop? If you're on a laptop, you can carry it.
Well, it's on a desktop. But I've got my phone open. I don't know if it's easy to switch over. I don't know. We don't have to do that.
I would,
if you want to. I can bring it around.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. If you can try to log in on your phone, I don't know that you can, but I definitely. And that's the thing. I mean, like that's what's amazing here is that your space is like that, and you managed to fit so many things in there, especially with your great ideas. And I know for your CNC, one of the things that you've shown in the past is you've got a CNC bunk bed, really, with a trundle bed underneath, right?
Yeah, so I put it it's a full size, it's a 4x4 machine, and it sits under I've got a big kind of like main workstation that I have my table saw and my router table built into, and it takes up a good majority of the shop, but I figured under that space I could put storage. I mean, it's pretty broad, so like I could put storage. It still wouldn't be all that efficient, and I would probably it would be wasted space because I would just stick stuff under there and forget it was there. And so under there, I have that it's on the quick change wasteboard frame that the machine is on. There's 3 threads at the bottom of each corner. So if you have a 3/8 stem caster, you can screw that on, and so it's actually on casters, and I can roll it forward and back if I need to, do any maintenance or change anything. But for the most part, it just stays still, and people will say that like it's like I could never work with it like that. I don't want to be crouched down working with machine. Well, you're only crouched down for a couple minutes at a time to either like change bit or load and unload material. But it's not like you're crouched over the whole time while your tool path is running. You do what you got to do, hit go, you get up and walk away. So that's one of those tools that I would call passively operated. Yeah. Most of your work is done on the computer, and then you got to change bit, load and unload material. But that's pretty much it. So there's, and that's kind of how I set up my shop. It's like I also have a planer that is very low to the ground. So I have my jointer is up here and it's facing one way, and then my planer is facing the other way, so that when I joint a board, it's already where it needs to be to put it through the planer underneath it. And its planer is passively operated. So once those rollers kick in, I'm not sitting there having to operate the tool. The rollers kick in and it takes it from
that makes sense.
So I'm not having to like crouch down and operate a planer.
Right.
So that's passively operated, I don't have any problem with being low to the ground because you don't have to be up and close and personal with it for a couple minutes at a time.
Well, and for your space, that's one of the things you have to do is you have to have this stacked idea so that you can get everything fit in there.
Yeah. So like that was the thing, is like when I built out this shop, like I knew exactly the shop that I was going to make, and I mean, months before it was delivered, I started designing out the space. I started laying out where everything was going to go, and I did it in 3D because a lot of folks will, when they're trying to lay out a shop, they'll use like graph paper, and they'll use just a little approximations of what square footage footprint each of their tools is going to have, and they trick themselves into thinking they don't have enough space because they're only looking in 2 dimensions. So when you start looking at vertical space, like I can stack my joiner on top of my planer, and it works, and it's actually, for workflow, it's way better because once it comes off the joiner, it goes into the planer. It's right where it needs to be.
That blows my mind just thinking about it, because that is how I set up, how I thought about my shop and how I looked at things, and that limitation did not occur to me. It really didn't, and you're 100% right. Well, I mean, I have things. I'm looking around. I'm like, geez, I could probably try and take care of that. Utilize that a little bit. I have to do. I'm going to be getting a bigger jointer, so I have to figure out some readjustment and stuff in the shop. That's the hardest thing. You're never fully there, right?
Right. The shop is never. If anybody ever tells you that their shop is done, they're lying to themselves and they're lying to you. The shop is never done. It's an ongoing journey, because you're always finding ways to optimize it and ways to make it better. So what kind of put me in this mindset was when I was working at MicroJig, was when the pandemic hit, and we closed the office, closed the shop. Everybody go home.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a shop at home, so I had a 10-foot by 10-foot PVC garden shed. And I was like, there must be some way that I can use this somehow. Nobody expected it to last as long as it did. But I was like, for the next couple weeks, that'll be the content. Yep. I'm gonna build out something in this little 10x10 garden shed to keep myself employed. And I ended up as with most things in my life, I way overdid it, and I ended up building this like ridiculous, huge rolling cart with like everything built into it. It had a joiner, planer, router table, table saw, all the storage. It was all rolling. All the dust collection was all built into this one singular unit. Super proud of that build, but that's kind of what got me in that mindset of like how much you can actually pack into a small space.
There was a guy that used to be on Instagram, and I haven't seen him much. Dave's Things. He's in Thailand, I think. He had a whole workbench set up like that. That was amazing. So I want to take a second though, and I want to talk to you about something similar to this. You are very innovative in the way you use things. Your tools, we already talked about. Well, you are. I mean, think about the stuff, the MicroJig stuff that you use, the way that you come up with ideas, right? And I'm just curious how you feel your background growing up. Where did you get the push to be innovative? How do you feel like your background, your life helped you get to this point?
I would, this is gonna sound weird, but I would say, I would say that my mom was relentlessly supportive and encouraging. So like when I was growing up, if I wanted to try something, anything, she was supportive. She's like, you can do it. It's like I could. It's almost like I could do no wrong. So and this may not be good, but I entered adulthood just assuming that I could do whatever and I would be successful at whatever I tried, which is not true, but it's a great place to start,
I mean that's perfect, and one of the things we always talk about is, who were the people who really influenced you? And it sounds like she influenced you in her belief in, hey, you want to try it? I know that you can make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I grew up with a probably an irrational and undeserved sense of confidence in
didn't we all?
What I can do, if you try it, you'll do great at it. So that's why I'm really not I'm not afraid to try anything, and I fail at most things, but some things I am halfway successful.
Well, we all fail. It's where we move forward going from there. So, but going back to what you said, what is something you are most proud of accomplishing, and how has that helped influence you?
Ooh, I don't know. I would say that most of my life I've just gone from one creative project to another. So like there was a time in my life where like music was my creative outlet. That was my thing, and I played in a band with some guys for 7 years, and we made an album that I'm super proud of.
Oh, that's cool.
And then after that, I started woodworking, and I had a furniture business that I made some things that I'm super, super proud of, and I'm actually kind of amazed that I was able to pull off. I've just gone from kind of like one creative endeavor to another. But I think the making thing that's kind of what I've landed on. It took me till damn near 40 But I landed on that, and making things is that's my thing now. And
it's an amazing creative outlet, right? It's an amazing way to take what you see and want to see, and right, and come up with the solution. And I think for me, that's always been the big thing, right? Is finding the creative solution to the problem.
yeah, and and it doesn't always have to be like I mean, it depends on the day. Depends on the day, the week, the month. It doesn't have to be a functional thing. Sometimes it's just just an artistic expression of a thing that you just want to make, that maybe nobody else finds it useful at all, but you like it.
Like 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 your piano thing that you.
Oh yeah, my the synthesizer. I still play around with that thing. I love it so much.
Well,
And it's I think it's cool. Like it synthesize like pianos and synthesizers. They can be overly complicated. There's so many knobs, so many dials, so many keys. This is just the 12 notes of the chromatic scale and no controls. You can mess with some stuff on the tablet that it's plugged into, but it makes creating music approachable, and that was what I was going for with that.
well, I mean, it's an amazing design. It was really neat. I just honestly, it was so cool to watch you make it. And as you said then, like struggle through it, have some issues with it, solve some, not solve all of them, right? Kevin from Clear Creek.
Yeah, I could do it again, but I don't know. I'm happy playing it the way that it is. It's with all its flaws. It's fine. Just like the guitar, it's not perfect, and I'm happy playing it with all of its flaws.
So I think that's funny because there's so many things that I've made that I'm like for the house. Uh, it's not, I know it could be better. Excuse me, but it accomplished exactly what I wanted to accomplish, and and you're like, I enjoyed getting there now. Suman, I do want to point out that you probably see that Suman said he misses shower pasta, but he thinks that you're too corporate for that now. It,
Oh no, it's not that I'm too corporate. It's just I stopped showering.
I actually expect
I
you
was
to wear a tie to this. I was surprised you weren't wearing the suit and tie.
It's baths only or jogs in the rain. No showers anymore. So no more shower meals.
Well, it is pretty. It's raining pretty hard here, so you can come here and run around out in my yard.
I can't believe it hasn't been raining more. I live in Florida.
Yeah, I know.
And Florida's like rain central. It hasn't rained in weeks.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like we're getting into spring and summer. Like that's our thing. We haven't had rain.
It's coming. Don't worry about it. So
I know.
So what's next for you? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you see happening?
In 5 years, I mean, I still plan to be with MicroJig.
Onefinity, you mean?
Onefinity. See, that's the thing is I had that Stockholm syndrome.
No.
It just became.
Well, we were talking about it so much earlier. That's why.
Yeah, we were talking about it a lot earlier. No, 5 years, I do still plan to be with Onefinity, and I plan to be just doing bigger and better things with Onefinity. And that's not to say like more complex or technical or intricate projects or videos. Yeah. I want to bring more people in with approachable projects and make people comfortable to take that leap to get into CNC. That's where I see myself, is really figuring out not how to be just the most amazing CNC designer or operator ever, but how to make people feel welcome to come in. That's where I want to be.
Well, and the nice thing, not the nice thing, but one of the things I see with you is at the workbench at Maker Camp, really at Maker Camp, the way you talk to people, how excited you are talking to everybody coming in and just talking about the machines and what they do and how to use them. I think that's great. And I can see you doing that. And now, actually, and that brings us to one of the questions we had early on. I don't remember who we asked, probably not even here. AWFS, are you going to that?
AWFS, yes, that is the plan. So,
Buddy,
yeah, AWFS.
buddy, we're
And
together.
Yeah, so you're gonna be there.
Yeah. I'm actually working for AWFS. I'm going to be I'm a judge for a student woodworking competition, and Stone was supposed to put in an application, and he was supposed to be part of my second job, which is I am on an educator field trip. I'll be taking teachers and possibly students around to different booths to talk about their tools and what they're doing, and talking both about the education of it, but also how it could be used in school. And Stone was supposed to fill out paperwork and be part of that, but he didn't.
Well, is there a deadline? You can send it to me. I'll fill it out.
I don't know if there is a deadline. I think the group is almost filled up, but there are other ones. But I mean, there's a whole bunch. But I will not be parking cars. That was a one-time deal. Logan, the car parker extraordinary. No one understands the difficulty of parking cars, right? You can't play around.
It's Vegas, no less.
Well, so
like Vegas.
Yeah. Have you been to Vegas?
Yeah, so I've been to two AWFSs when I was with MicroJig. I was there for two of those. And the show is fun, but Vegas is gross. It's just Vegas is gross. Sorry.
So I was talking to a friend of mine who was just there for. They went for WWE. They got free tickets, free thing through her husband's work, and she said like the entire place just smelled like cigarette smoke. She's like everything smelled.
Everything smelled like smoke, one. And two, so like my wife and I, we went there for one of our friends from high school actually lives in Vegas, and we went out there for her wedding. And so we were in Vegas for a couple days. So we're walking around hand in hand, and you've got these weirdos like handing out basically like trading cards for hookers. Like I'm like walking hand in hand with my wife. I'm like, what is wrong with you? The whole place is gross. It's just icky and gross. And I enjoy AWFS. I enjoy the confines of that space, but Vegas.
I've never been to Vegas, and I'm really excited about going because it's one of those places. It's like a destination. You want to be able to say in your life, I've been to Vegas once. So,
the best part of that trip was leaving Vegas and going out to Red Rock Preserve. It's just this gorgeous state or national park out there, just climbing around the rocks and walking around. That was the best part of that whole trip to Vegas was getting out of Vegas.
In July, I can't imagine. I can't even imagine. I just threw my hat. Simon, the buffets are supposed to be good, but they're cutting down on them, from what I heard too. This is wait. I gotta show you guys this. This is my new hat, Jessam. They sent me a box of stuff that is absolutely incredible. If you guys haven't looked yet, go to my stories, check that out. And as we're getting up on an hour here, we'll keep going for a couple minutes. I do want to point out to everybody, I will not be live next week. I'm taking a week off because Larissa Huff was supposed to be with me next week, but she had to switch her days. So next week I'm off. The week after is going to be Ryan Drapella from Cutting It Close, who has blown up on YouTube. The week after that will be Matt Cremona. I'm very excited to talk to Matt. And then
coming up.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I haven't seen anything from him in a long time. I love Matt Cremona.
You know what? He and I interact on the socials, and I've always wanted to be able to just have a talk with him, so I'm really excited about that. And then Larissa Huff, who is just amazing, and I'm really excited to talk with her too. So May is like May for makers.
Be careful with Matt though. He's unassuming, but that guy's a savage.
Who?
He threatened to beat me up. Matt Cremona. Oh yeah.
Well,
he stole my wallet.
You have to measure things by him, right? The number of mats in a board. So it's gonna, Kevin. It says it's gonna be horrifically hot. Sorry, that was my point about not going to that place. Is it's gonna be too hot to go anywhere, right?
The last time I was there, I think it was 111 degrees when we were walking around after the show, after AW.
Yeah. Like I can barely walk around in 91-degree heat. Just too much chafing. How much baby powder do they sell there?
That's their main export. It's the #1 export, baby powder and gold.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm gonna have to get one. All right. So as we're closing up here, is there anything you would want to say to everybody out there about CNC woodworking?
I don't know. I came into this. I kind of came into this space, came into this community as a person who works for a brand, and it's hard to kind of get the respect of the community because you're kind of like a Billy Mays type character, like people, kind of you're suspect. But I appreciate this community for embracing me and believing in me and letting me, be friends and have fun with you. And if you want to get into CNC, talk to me. It's easier than you think. And I will help you get.
I will agree with you on the CNC being easier than you think, but it's also harder. That in some aspects, for me, it's the design aspect of understanding what you're looking at and the software. I think that's the hardest part. And I actually started off. I'm pretty sure I bought it. Your files for the MicroJig spoil board. I didn't ask you for it. I think I bought it.
Really?
I can't remember. I know I reached out to you. No, Suman, MicroJig makes a CNC work holding kit. So unless he said MicroJig again, I don't know. Will you be at Maker Camp again? Of course, he'll be at Maker Camp. That's ridiculous. He knows that's a time to see me, so he'll always be there.
Yeah, if there's ever a question whether I won't be or whether I will or will not be at Maker Camp, I will be at Maker Camp.
Come back to this year. Oh. Talk about getting there this year, Joe. I don't know if you heard about this, right? How hard was that for you to get there this year?
It was tricky. So yeah, we had Hurricane Milton was just kind of spinning overhead right above the airport that I was supposed to take off from right when I was supposed to be taking off. So my flight got canceled. I rescheduled. That got canceled. Rescheduled again. Canceled again. I think it was like the 4th or 5th time that I booked a flight that I was actually able to get out there. So I got there a day late. I got there more than 24 hours after I should have. But I spent 3 great days there, and I'm glad I got there.
Then your wife lost power at the house.
So we lost power, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to leave town with the house out of power. I'm not going to leave my wife and my child with a house without power. But we had the generator running. I have a outlet into the main panel of the house. So I was backfeeding the generator into the house. So it was powering the house. We had power. We were good. And then our power was restored. And it was running great for like 18 hours. And I was like, okay, now I feel fine. I feel good. I can leave town. Power has been restored. And then when I land, we get down below the clouds to where your phone actually works again. And first text I see is from my wife. She's powered back out, and it says that they're not going to have it restored for the next 4 days. I'm like, what happened? It was on, and the storm is gone. So I walked around the main field there at Maker Camp for like 2 hours, coaching her on how to put gas in the generator, how to plug it into the panel, how to do all that stuff. So proud of her. She got it on. And then we ran out of gas, and then there was no gas to be had because after a hurricane, you just can't find gas. So I was like, just get a hotel.
Right. I don't know what to tell you anymore. There's nothing else we can do. No. That was crazy. I was impressed to see you there after all of that. Braden, you have your own show. Why did Braden, little bug?
What is Braden here, bro?
Oh, he says you're late for his pre-show. He's taking a break. He's taking a break.
There for the pre-show. Yeah.
We're ending. So yeah. So again, not again, but I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you helping people through all of this, right? And you know what? I do want to ask one last sort of what you would tell people question. And this is really about, because I think your content creation and the way you come up with ideas for stuff is really good. You present the information, but you have fun doing it, right? What suggestions would you have for people doing content creation?
If you're not having fun, what's the point of it? I mean,
Pete's on here. Wait, I'm sorry. Now Pete's on here. I'm sorry.
Pete, what are you guys doing here? You guys have your own show to do.
I'm from 8 to 9, 15, and you guys are from 9 to midnight. All right, back to you.
9 till forever.
Gosh, content creation.
So, I mean, I don't think there's anything particularly special about the way that I create content. Like the way that I come up with ideas, I honestly could not tell you. I think it's probably a defective brain. It contributes to how I come up with the ideas that I come up with. But I don't know. It comes from a place of like fun. Everybody gets into woodworking for different reasons. Like some people want to do it to like this is a business. This is my living. This is my livelihood. I want to do, and they will make practical, functional things that they can sell a lot of. Other people just do it as a leisure, as a almost their therapeutic kind of way to pass their time. I'm fortunate enough to have a job where I can kind of explore the full spectrum of functional and things that would be great to sell and stuff that's like just totally nonsensical but just fun to make.
Right.
And I'm in that space generally in that headspace where I just am just thinking complete nonsense. And I'm like, what would be fun to make? The dumbest thing ever. And so let me show people how to make the dumbest thing ever.
Okay. But that's I mean, so I'm a mix of those two. I do it because it's kind of therapy. That's what I enjoyed it. But I still look for things to sell, and that has definitely influenced my journey over the last I think year and a half to 2 years. But I think you and I just blanked on his name. Oh my God, Rockler,
Adam
Barnett. He had a similar answer in terms of it. I don't know where the ideas come from, but I think that pointing it out that whatever it is, you have to be able to have fun with it. I think that's really the key. And I like that you said that.
Yeah, it's I started doing woodworking for fun, and then it when I made it my livelihood, kind of sucked the joy out of it. And that happens, not just with woodworking or really any creative endeavor. When people do something creatively, and they transition to that being their livelihood and their source of income. More times than not, it sucks the joy out of it. And so keep it light, keep it fun, have fun doing it. Like Handy Dandy Brandy, she does the stuff that she does is so fun.
Yeah.
It's just whimsical and fun, and like that's her living. But it's she has fun doing
the hot dog, the S, I love the way she thinks outside. I had her on here last year, and I love the way she thinks outside the box and comes up with those ideas. So I think that's a great bit of advice. I love that. So that is the ending statement from the Morgan Hopfenberger. Hopfenberger? Yes, but I'm so close. I was trying to say it earlier, and now, of course, I'm messing up. The final bit of advice from Morgan is have fun doing what you do. Morgan, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate just being able to talk to you. I miss having a conversation with you, so I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone who came on, listened. Your questions are always really important. No one sponsors any of my videos, but this week I'm showing off Jessam because they sent me they have new measuring stuff and whatever you call them. The square is just amazing. I'm going to do a video about this stuff, but it's amazing. So you guys have a great night. You don't go anywhere. I'm clicking off of here, and then I'm going to click off of here.